The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. I'm CW Getz. All right, and we can't hear Willow. Okay, what happened to Willow? Oh, we don't have audio. Do we have audio? Oh, no. Let's have our producer come to the rescue. It's Willow. We get something on Willow's end. Can you hear us, Willow? We can't hear you. But, okay, we're going to wait. Well, tell you what, it is Wednesday, March 9th, while Willow fixes this issue here, if she can. It is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. We have a 40-degree breezy day here in Illinois. First, I want to start this episode by thanking all of you who have reached out in regard to my girlfriend, Sasha, who, with her mother, is in Ukraine, and there's a small group of them trying to flee to safety. And we really appreciate all the prayers and all the kind words that you've had to offer. So it's very much appreciated. I just want to let everybody know that. One also mentioned that we will be doing a live remote broadcast at Canoecopia 2022. Our broadcast begins Friday at 2 p.m. Central and also on Saturday starting at 1 p.m. Central. The broadcasts air on YouTube, channel CW Gets Outdoors, and on Facebook, that is, CW Gets Outdoors. We'll have some wonderful guests on the broadcast, as well as we're going to try to get some footage of the show itself, and we hope that you'll all join us for that. So, Willow, do we have you in the mix?
I think we're back.
There you are. All right. I love it. Well, tonight's episode is brought to you by Campground Views, making camping easier.
By Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water.
And by Novacraft Canoe, connecting with nature since 1970. Well, tonight's episode is Living in Tune with Nature with our special guest, Jessie Meaney. Willow, could you tell us a little bit about Jessie, please?
Jessie Meaney has a deep connection with nature, which has always been her favorite place to go. Growing up hunting, fishing, and hiking with her father, she also learned gardening from her mother. These days, along with her husband, Jessie continues to engage in these same outdoor activities. Jessie also grows her own plants for food and to support pollinators, as well as growing dry herbs used as healing remedies. She subscribes to the philosophy that growing food and being involved with nature is essential for healing the mind, body, and soul. Professionally, Jessie's research involves patterns in nature and ways to tune into these cycles. She has studied how the human body responds to environmental changes in nature and how to incorporate that cycle into daily life. Jessie is a shamanic high priestess, initiated guide, Reiki master and teacher, and massage therapist. She employs natural, holistic, and shamanic practices to encourage a healthier lifestyle for herself, her family, and her clients.
Well, with that, welcome to the show, Jessie.
Welcome, Jessie.
Hi, thank you.
You know, Willow's like, man, I don't know how I would have messed that up.
I still stumbled over my words. Don't worry.
Very good. Just way better than I could have done. I'll tell you that.
So, Jessie, what do we mean by the phrase living in tune with nature?
So living in tune with nature, we are looking at patterns. So we're looking at what nature's doing and how that actually affects us as humans, because everything affects us. Everything that's going on really does get to us on an energetic level and a physical level. So a few of the things, there's a lot of cycles going on. We can get really deep into this or skim the surface. And just for tonight's purposes, we'll just touch on a few topics. So one of the things we look at is daily cycles. We see patterns throughout the day, such as the sun rises every morning and sets every night. The human body actually has ways to respond to this. We also see like monthly cycles, lunar cycles, and we know that that definitely has an effect on people. You can ask anybody who works in healthcare in the ER that we respond to lunar cycles. We also see annual cycles, such as the 4 seasons. Those definitely have an effect on us, different weather types, depending on where you live. Where we live in Illinois, we see all 4 seasons. So we really get hit with everything, throughout the year. So it's kind of like tuning into that and adapting and seeing what we need to do to live more harmoniously with those cycles, how to bring the energy in, see what it's doing, and how do we complement it for ourselves.
The moon thing is really crazy, like you mentioned. And I know, like,
Yeah.
when you say full moon and people get really weird. And it's something, there is a lot to that, because I notice, I don't know if I've noticed it with me, maybe, but I know that people they're a little different when the moon is full, just for example.
Yeah. And they say, more babies are born. If you think about it, the moon affects the tides, right? So it affects water, and our bodies are made up of a whole lot of water.
Oh, right.
So it's kind of crazy to say that it wouldn't affect us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you mentioned categories. Can you break those categories down for us a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So I think we'll start with daily cycles. So we talked about the sun rising and setting every day. Everything responds to that. Plants respond to that. They need the sunlight to make food. Animals respond to that. Some are nocturnal, so they like to be out during when it's dark out. But then you'll see animals get up, right when the sun comes out, right when they can see they're out and about. And that's kind of the path that humans should be following as well. When the sun comes up, we're provided with light. When light hits the eye, that's how we start to produce, or that signals the production of serotonin, and that's the hormone that wakes us up in the morning.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
So yeah, so it's interesting. Our bodies actually, that's a clue to let us know, hey, it's time to get up and start doing stuff. Actually, if you do actually work on a cycle where you're getting up in the morning and setting with the sun, your body will tune into these natural cycles and it'll know what to do. In the morning, usually we're not really meant to be super active. It's time to kind of start waking up, stretching out the body. It's a great time for meditation. It's a great time for yoga, taking nice calm walks and just getting in the set for the energy of the day. There's less human activity. If you were to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, how many other humans are usually awake at that time around you,
That are not having coffee, right? Yeah.
Right. So there's just a lot less mental activity in the air. So it's a really great time to get up and just settle into your own energy for the day. And it actually can help you relieve a lot of stress before you even start the day. You're not, how many times do you wake up, you're late, and then all of a sudden your day starts, you're off on the wrong foot. You're stressed out. Yeah.
Many.
Yeah.
Many.
So, that actually sets us up for success right there. Getting up a little bit early in the morning and tuning into that nice, calm time to get up type of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can also look at midday type of energy as well. I know a lot of people on here like to be outdoors. They like to be more active. And that's really the time when we want to be getting up and being more physically active in that 10 to 2 range, 2 in the morning or 10 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon is actually when our bodies are ready to be more physically active. We're ready to eat more food. The digestive system is ready to process that and turn it into energy so we can actually get out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to comment on this. I have to tell you, let's put it this way. I know people who, when they wake up in the morning, they're bam, ready to go. Well, that's not
Yeah.
me. And I can barely tell you my name when I get out of bed, but I'll tell you something. And we used to work out in the morning. Wasn't my favorite time, but it was the time of day that fit into my schedule. But it never felt as good as working out in the afternoon, mid-afternoon or whatever. But I'll tell you something. I've always, like you said, about 10 in the morning until about, let's just say 2, maybe 3 in the afternoon. That was when I was most energetic. So it's falling right in line with everything you're saying. It's I thought maybe it was just me. and maybe I was born in the afternoon, and that's why I come alive. No other reason. But what you're saying really makes a lot of sense. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you follow the cycles, your body will naturally fit into those rhythms, and that's what we're doing here. And I'm not saying like don't move and don't exercise in the morning. I get up and that's usually when I do like yoga and stretching and stuff like that, just to get the body kind of moving and woke up.
Yeah.
It takes some time. You don't have to spring out of bed if you don't want to.
Yeah, the old saying, what is it? Your feet hit the ground running or something like that. I remember people
Yeah,
used to say that. That's
yeah.
No, that's not.
And I used to have to do that too. I used to have to get up at at 2:00 in the morning to go to work. And usually you're hitting snooze like 5 times before you even get out of bed. And then by that time you have to run out of bed.
I get it. Or go plow snow on the interstate. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really stressful way to start the day.
Yeah, it is.
So we're trying to avoid that.
Yep.
So anyway, after that, we've reached so we just talked about the 10 to 2 morning to early afternoon. So then we get into the early afternoon to evening. That's when your brain should be ready to start functioning. So we move in from physical activity to mental activity. That's the time when it's great to sit down, read a book. If you have a project you're working on, perfect time to work on it. That's when your body wants to do it.
What time of the day are we talking about here again?
Okay, so we would be talking 2 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's your mental. And if you think about it, there's a flip side to each of these times that I'm giving you. So 2 to 6 p.m., if we look at 2 to 6 a.m., that's actually still mental activity, but you would be dreaming. That's dream time. Your brain's going, but you're REM sleep. And yeah.
Really?
So it's still 2 to 6 on each end is still time for the nervous system and the brain. You're just doing different things at that time.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I think that's when I have my nightmare dreams that time of the day.
You shouldn't be having nightmares.
Drowning or something. Not every night, just happens sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to work on that and fix that.
Right. Wow.
So okay. Go ahead.
No, you keep going. I want to hear more.
Okay. No, the next thing I was just gonna work you guys through the hours. So then we're talking 6 to 8 or 6 to 10 p.m. That's time to wind down. The sun is starting to set. So when it starts to get darker, then our body that triggers us to produce melatonin, and that's the sleep hormone. So that helps us relax and fall asleep.
And here all the time, I thought it was Heineken that was produced that melatonin thing.
Yeah, to each their own.
I'm sorry.
Not supposed to be replacing hormones with beer, but
right.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a really great time for winding down, meditating, getting settled in for the day so you can fall asleep on time. You want to fall asleep on time because you want to have energy for the next day, right? If we're staying up all night, you're going to feel more sluggish in the morning. Because as you're sleeping, your body needs to filter out toxins. When we get towards the middle of the night and we're sleeping, the liver starts filtering toxins. That way we can get rid of the garbage that we don't need anymore and start fresh the next day.
Good.
So that's daily cycles for you.
Wow. And then how does that play into nightly cycles? Does that just have to do with the different, the REM sleep cycle that kind of parallels what's happening during the day?
Yep. And then when we talk about nightly cycles, let's pick that 10 to 2 time. So that 10 a.m., we talked about the digestive system being a little more fired up and you're ready to eat and be physically active. Well, at night at 10 p.m., the digestive system starts working again, but it's working to filter out toxins. So it's working on a different level. You actually want your stomach empty so your digestive system can do a different kind of job for you.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something I was familiar with. Yeah. So you kind of mentioned that's a really specific benefit of that kind of category or phase of the day. What other specific benefits are we talking about?
Okay, so if you think about all the things we just talked about, we're talking about the digestive system and filtering out toxins. Obviously, that is going to help your immune system be more active and more spot on so you don't get as sick. Gut health is like a key factor in staying healthy. So when we're working with all these cycles, we're actually working to boost our immune system, obviously lower our stress levels. We just talked about, getting out of bed so you're not rushed in the morning, and you can do things to reduce stress or prevent stress right away, because stress is really like an underlying part of most disease that we run into, right?
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I remember reading about that.
Yeah. Not a new topic there. So we definitely have those. I mean, all over health, really.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
It's really interesting. It's just how everything can come together as one, and every little kind of detail matters.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, these are, if you're not exact on the times, that's okay. I'm not saying everybody has to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know that's not possible for everybody. But if you just give yourself maybe an extra half hour in the morning or something like that, or try and go to bed a half hour earlier, or stop eating at a certain time at night, those little differences really add up.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of The Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground Views virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground Views virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
And we're back with our guest, Jessie Meaney, on The Camping Show. Jessie, we hear that using cell phones and computers at night can interfere with our sleep, which then affect other aspects of our health. So, I mean, is there any truth to that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Kind of like we were talking about before with just rising and setting with the sun. You think about how often people stay up because they have lights to turn on, they have a phone to scroll through, they have Netflix to watch all night. Not that I don't love technology, because I do, and I use it as well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, those things kind of inhibit our ability to actually tune in to what we're doing. They can oftentimes distract us as well. Instead of noticing what your body's doing and what it needs, a lot of times people in their spare time pick up their phone and scroll through their phone.
Yeah. I've noticed if my phone does not go on silent and somebody calls me and I have to look at the screen and read, even just a text or something,
Oh yeah, you're like always jumping at your phone.
Yeah, and it's difficult to get back to sleep. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm awake, but I think there's something to be said for that blue light. I just discovered my phone can tint it like amber colored instead of that blue light. I just realized that the other day.
Oh yeah, I've seen some stuff like that. I have not used that yet, but
yeah,
I've heard about that.
I haven't
or the
tried
glasses you can put on.
Oh yeah, I've got those on now. But the blue blockers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that my phone could do that, but I guess that helps, right? The blue light is really the cause of that whole thing that keeps you. It doesn't allow you to relax or something, or.
Well, I don't know all the answers to that. I don't think it's good for your eyes either. But yeah, I have definitely. I mean, I've heard some different things, especially through advertisements about things like that. But it's just, it's distracting. It keeps us up. If you're not falling asleep at night, your body is not going to do what it needs to clear out and reset for the next day. Yeah. And then if you do like to get outside, you like to go camping or canoeing or whatever you want to do, you want to have enough energy for all your activities. So think about your performance like outside when you're out on the trail. What's that going to be like if you're distracted?
Yeah, Willow, you know this. It's nothing like not getting your sleep the night before and then going paddling.
Very true. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, especially the winter.
So since we're able to do each of these things indoors, what's the significance of incorporating the outdoors?
So when we get outdoors, we can actually have a sense of what nature's doing around us. Whether you're in the city, in the country, you can at least see like daytime, light and dark, go outside, get some fresh air. I always tell people you should at least go outside every day and take some deep breaths of air. We don't always breathe properly. And a lot of times some of that air will actually get trapped, like we get old air trapped in our lungs because we don't exhale completely as well. So at least go outside and exhale completely, breathe deeply so you have an exchange of energy and get those toxins out of your lungs, because that stale air does build up into toxins in your body and it can make you it can lead to some problems later on. So go outside, exhale completely. When you think you've exhaled all the way, like do a little more, like get it all out there and then breathe deeply. You're exchanging air in your lungs. You need that exchange. You need that fresh air in nature. We need the grounding experience too. A lot of people, they're not very connected. They're not very grounded. I see that a lot in my practice. People,
what does that mean exactly? What does that grounding mean?
How deep do you want to get in this right now?
Open the can of worms, that's right.
So like,
give us the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
So I can understand.
So grounding is like being connected to the root of who you are, your foundational energy. What are you? Where do you come from? What's your foundational life like? Are all your basic needs being met? Things like that. That's like our grounding foundational energy. Go outside, step on the ground and feel like the earth underneath your feet. That's where you come from. So you're connecting, you're making that connection to earth, to nature, and you're fueling that grounding energy. So you have a better understanding of just who you are in general.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Okay.
I feel like it also gives it's an opportunity to step away from your phone, which also plays into the losing the sense of identity. So I could see, especially in this day and age, the opportunity to be outside and reconnect with nature is more important than ever.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And you're getting, hopefully some sunlight too, making your vitamin D in your body and it all boosts your immune system. We have to have some exposure to these elements.
I just used to get mine from milk, but I know that you need sunlight. No, but and the whole thing about tanning beds, do you get vitamin D from tanning beds? I just have to ask that question. Yeah,
they say that you do.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah. And you can get, I wouldn't use that
You
as a
also
replacement.
get cancer.
Yeah. Like, which one?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't use that as a replacement. Like, come on, CW. You're talking about like getting out in nature, not sitting in a box, right?
All I know is I got my glass of milk and my tanning bed. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, that's probably not the best replacement for natural sun and being out there.
It's not, but I mean, if you like this time of year, you think about in Illinois, it's March. We just came from February, which is like the worst time of the year to get sun for us.
Yeah.
So I can understand people are searching to get that sunlight to make them feel good. It really does boost the mood to get some of that.
But even you get some sun on your face in the winter, and I mean, just being outside in the winter, yeah, it's cold, but if you dress for it, but I think that I know that for myself, and I'm sure Willow, you're like the outdoor queen, Willow. It's like it's just getting outside and getting the air and being active and just being in the elements, I think. And Willow, I mean, Willow's a water person, and the same is true, right?
Absolutely. You have to bring in all those elements, it helps release endorphins, makes us feel better. And I think anybody on here who's listening who does get out and they're out in the outdoors, they could verify that. They know that being outdoors makes them feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Love winter hiking. And so that's something you can do, while you still get your sun and you still get your outdoors. And I do enjoy. I like crunching in the snow with my little cleats. So I like that for some reason.
Your yak tracks.
Yeah, right.
Well, before we move on to the next question, we have a question from Rachel. Any suggestions to help turn off the brain while winding down for the night? My thoughts keep me up pretty late.
Yeah, that's it is. So that's getting into meditation and working on quieting the mind. I actually do have a lot of guided meditations on my YouTube channel that I often will suggest to people to start off with. But that's tricky. That's something that a lot of people have trouble with. I battled with that for years, and it comes with practicing meditation, and you have to keep going with it. So if you start meditating, it's kind of like trying to build a muscle. You're probably going to be weak at first at clearing your mind, and you have to keep working on it to get better. There are different techniques you can work with, such as breathing. We talked about getting outside and breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, doing the deep breathing and just focusing on your breath. Anytime a thought comes in your mind, go back to focusing on your breath. Or you can count to 10 over and over again. And when you get to 10, you start back at 1. Anytime you have a thought, you start back at 1. Eventually, you might get bored enough that you just fall asleep. So,
the breathing thing, really, I have done that before. My yoga instructor, Anna, who's been on the show, incidentally, and she taught me a breathing exercise, and it really does work. Yeah. That and saying long prayers also works very well for me. So, yeah. But,
yeah, that would. Kind of like a mantra. If you are starting to get up early in the morning and work with the cycles of nature, you will start to naturally fall asleep easier. It just kind of falls in line, like we were talking about the serotonin and the melatonin. When you get yourself on the right cycles, your body knows what to do. Your brain will start to understand what to do, and you'll be able to shut things down a little bit easier as well.
I've noticed that. Willow, you probably are one of those people that, depending on what kind of homework you have, you probably it's difficult to set that routine every night at a certain time to bed. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't have that at all right now, but I'm also a pretty good morning person though. So when I wake up, like I'm awake, and I mean that's just something that was ingrained in me from when I was younger to be like a morning person. Oh, wow. So I was lucky in that way, but I have my moments.
Yeah,
I love it.
I feel like the younger you are too, like the easier it is, like to just,
we're very resilient.
Yeah. Cause that's when I was younger, that's when I was working my like really crappy shifts and having to get up in the middle of the night basically. And I managed to do it. I don't think I was the nicest person. I was probably a huge bear.
Well, When I turn 40, I'm going to find out what you guys are talking about.
Okay, you let me know.
Right.
So people often use the phrase being out in the elements. Is there actually more to that than what most of us realize?
Oh, there totally is. So when we think about the elements, let's just talk about 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water right now. We are made up of all those elements. You think about us as humans, we have them all in us. They're all around us. They're throughout the earth. So we actually are getting out into earth, air, fire, and water when we go outside, depending on where we are. Okay, so if we want to balance ourselves energetically, we want to be in those elements. We want to use those elements.
Fire is sun. Am I correct?
Fire is sun. Yeah.
We had a discussion about this once, and I did remember that. Yeah, I go, fire is sun. I go,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bing, bing.
So-
Johnny, tell him what he's won, right?
Yeah, fire is sun. And if you are somebody who is a little more dominant in the fire element, you're going to probably run a little bit warmer most of the time. So you're going to like the cooler weather. You might like water a little bit more. You might like winter a little bit more.
You just described Willow to a T, man. That's exactly her.
Okay, yeah. You might have a little more fire. So if you have a little bit more air, you might run colder, and the cold and wind might agitate you a little bit more, because you think about air as it's space in motion. So air is always moving. So if you're probably like CW, always moving, you might have a lot of air energy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we can go out in the elements and we can balance that. We actually see these cycles take place in nature through the seasons. We didn't talk about the seasons yet. Summer, winter, fall, and spring. They have these elements incorporated into them. Think about summertime is hot. There's a lot of fire in summertime. So we want to think about how to balance that heat, especially like Willow. If you run hot easily, you're going to want to make sure you're balancing that when you're outside or being active in the elements, right? So you're going to want to look to different foods to cool you down. Things like cool, crisp, like leafy greens, watermelon, things that are balancing to that fire element.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you usually think about whatever's offered, whatever's like in season at the time is usually what we should be eating. So think about fall, and what do all the food companies usually push on us in the fall?
Yeah, pumpkins.
Pumpkin spice, it's everywhere.
I hate
love
it. It's icky. All women
I
love
love pumpkin spice. I could have it any time of the year, but it's warming. Spices are warming foods. So when we get into the fall, if you're a gardener, you know, like what type of foods are ripe in the fall, like what we're going to harvest, like our sweet potatoes, our squash. Apples are actually cooling unless you start to bake them with spices, and that's usually what people do in the fall. So if you're looking to, you know, get out in nature and go do things, think about what season you're in, what the weather's like, and what you need to eat to balance that energy.
You know, it's interesting that, like you said, those cooling foods like watermelon, and that's a summertime. That's when they're, and in the fall, that's the pumpkins, the spice, the watermelon things. It's kind of funny how that works out. You know, how that nature balance.
Well, yeah, it's nature. It knows what it's doing, and it knows what to provide for us. So if we kind of keep an eye out and look around, we know what's available at the time. You know, go to your farmers markets, see what they're selling, because they're probably selling what's ripe at the time. Instead of like the grocery stores, they usually have things from all over the place, and it's nice because you can get whatever you want at just about any time of the year. But if you go to like your local farmers markets, you're going to get stuff that's in season for when you need it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
I think on that note, we're going to take a commercial break, but don't go away. We'll be right back with more of The Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground Views virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sights, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground Views virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rootabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
And we're back with our guest, Jessie Meaney, here on The Camping Show. Roxy, could we have you put up Jessie's photos here, and we'll have her tell us about each of them.
Oh, that's hiking in Colorado. I believe that was Garden of the Gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of my friends moved out there, and we hike with them whenever we get the chance.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, so my family raises monarch butterflies. The population for monarchs has been in a little bit of trouble. So we did start taking them in a few years ago and raising them. They usually have about, like from egg to adulthood, they have about a 10% chance of making it in the wild.
Oh, wow.
So when we take the eggs in and hatch them, we usually get about a 90% survival rate. So we work on bumping the population up of monarchs in the area, and we've been very successful.
Yeah, I haven't seen a monarch for a while. Now that you mentioned that, it's just like I haven't.
Oh, come to my house.
That's where they're all hiding out, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is me doing a massage. I think that's actually my husband on the table. So I hope he's okay with this. He got to be my model for the day.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. So that's, I have to make sure my friend watches this show. That's my friend Jessie in the background. We were, again, hiking in Colorado. I'm not exactly sure what area, though. That's not Garden of the Gods. That's some other like mountainside we were on. Yeah. That's my kids and my husband. This is mushroom hunting. There's, we hunt for spongies or morels. That's every spring. And we've been going to the same spot for, since I can remember. My dad's always taken me mushroom hunting. It was just one of my favorite things to do, to get out in the spring. You know, it's early, the weather's just getting nice. It's perfect.
I've never done that, but it just doesn't sound like my cup of tea, hunting for anything, really. That's just, I don't know. I get
tromping around in the timber and looking for stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like an Easter egg hunt, but a lot harder.
Yeah, I hated Easter egg hunting. Just give me the darn eggs, you know.
Yeah. This is in Aruba. So, yes. Getting in that water energy. I loved it there. Beautiful sunsets every day, plenty of sun, plenty of air, plenty of water. It's a great place to go and balance your elements and just relax.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is me and Mika. She's one of my huskies. I have 4 huskies and 1 German short hair lab mix. So
Whoa, that's a lot of dogs with a lot of children.
oh, I know. It's crazy at my house. Like there's no lack of energy ever.
Oh, wow.
So she's my hiking partner. Look at the grin on her face. She loves it. They also will pull a sled for us in the wintertime.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, really, really cool.
Wow.
This is Wisconsin, and I can't remember the lake we were on. I don't think it's Wabiza. Anyway, yeah, we were crappie fishing with my husband and my father-in-law. I'm actually on my father-in-law's boat right there, catching fish.
Cool. You know what? I suck at fishing, and it's just kind of funny because I know a number of women who just make me look ridiculous fishing. That's why I don't do it much. I'm like an idiot. Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
All right, that's again in Wisconsin. That's outside of Madison. Yeah,
Very
we
cool.
did doing
I like that.
Garden of the Gods again in Colorado. Beautiful spot. Oh, that's me and a duck. We
You
raised
raised
ducks.
these-
Yes, Willow. I have 5 ducks as well.
I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So my son was selling the eggs. People really like duck eggs, and it's a great way, just growing your own food. We garden, we have ducks. The spring we'll have bees, monarchs. We
Wow.
get all into it.
You have like a game farm there. It sounds yeah, very cool. Very cool. Oh, wow.
Well, it sounds like your life has a lot of fun but chaotic energy in it. And it does sound like there are quite a few benefits to living in tune with nature. But how do you suggest we begin moving towards these positive changes without feeling overwhelmed?
I would say just like any other change you want to make in your life, start off with one thing or 2 things. You don't have to dive into everything right away. Pick some of your favorite things. If you really like to be outside, find a way to get out in the elements. If you're finding you're struggling in the morning, get up a little bit earlier. Pick something and go with it. Don't, set yourself up for success. Don't try and go full force into it. Hopefully a lot of people on here are nature lovers anyway, and they're already doing some of these things.
Right. Exactly.
I know. So you probably have a foot in the door already, and you understand natural cycles and this is just going in a little bit deeper. You can go in as deep as you want.
Wow. So you're saying just basically start out, take 1 or 2 things and let's work on those. And when you get those to the point where you're like, okay, I see improvement, and then pick up something else or a couple more things and kind of work that way. It's like working out in the gym, right? You don't and start off at,
it's like if you want to be successful at anything, you want to make a change in your life. Obviously, if something's not working, you need to make a change and pick that one thing and make sure you're successful with it before you move on. That's usually
And if something doesn't work at first, it's like you said, you're like you're working a muscle. It's not gonna come be perfect right off the bat. Am I right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Good advice. Well, let me ask you, Jessie, where can our audience go to follow you, to learn more about living in tune with nature, and to follow you on social media?
Well, I do have my business account on social media. It's Jessie Meaney, LMT. I also have a YouTube channel, and that's full of meditations and just general advice. That's also, you would look up Jessie Meaney, LMT, and there's meditations with Jessie on there. And I also run a class throughout the year. It's called Stepping into Spirituality, and Living in Tune with Nature is actually one of the classes that I offer through that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've seen some of your video presentations. You're very good, and they're very interesting as well. So, yeah, I would recommend definitely checking those out.
Thank you.
That's YouTube, if I'm right, correct? I think that's where I saw it.
Yep, you probably saw them on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yep.
Well, we'd like to thank you, Jessie, for being our guest here on the camping show this evening. It was definitely a pleasure having you here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Campground Views, Rutabaga Paddle Sports, Novacraft Canoe, for bringing you tonight's show.
Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Backcountry Food, with our special guest, John Wright. And we remind you to tune into our live remote broadcast from Canoecopia 2022 this weekend, beginning Friday at 2 p.m. Central, and also on Saturday starting at 1 p.m. Central.
Until then, thank you for tuning into the Camping Show.
This is CW Getz
And Willow Munson.
reminding you,
Learn more.
do more. See you next week.
Bye.